We've all seen the videos. We've all seen the eye rolls, the expressions of, oh here we go again, the looks of disgust at someone daring to ask the unpalatable questions, the hard questions, the ones that the rote answers won't address. We've all seen it. And whatever you or I or anyone else may think of Gript media, well, Ben Scallan at least often asks the right questions. But now our government leaders have really gone and done it, haven't they? They've only gone and given the finger to democracy and to any shred of decency they had left. So to give a quick background to this, Minister for Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sports and Media, Catherine Martin, tweeted on the 9th of February that our constitution says a woman's place is in the home. Now, if you follow my channel or my Twitter account, then you will know that this is false. This is misinformation. This is a lie. This tweet was even called out as a lie by the community notes on Twitter. Such was the size of the lie. And then, Supreme Court Judge and head of the Electoral Commission, the Electoral Commission that Catherine Martin's government set up to help combat misinformation, by the way, but the head of the commission, Marie Baker, quite clearly contradicted Catherine Martin by explaining that, drumroll please, the Constitution does not say a woman's place is in the home. So along comes Ben Scallan to ask Catherine Martin about this mix-up, and asks if she should delete the tweet in question, given that it is a lie. A very fair question if you ask me, but in what can only be described as sheer arrogance, Catherine Martin proceeds to double down on her lies, claiming that many women believe the Constitution says it, and I don't know, that makes it true? I don't f***ing know. Have a listen for yourself.
Minister, on the upcoming referendum, why did you tweet that the Irish Constitution says a woman's place is in the home when the Electoral Commission, which your government set up specifically to fight misinformation, has repeatedly confirmed that that's not true?
Case law of the Supreme Court is quite clear that that doesn't mean women's place is in the home. It says that the work that women do provides an important protection and tool and support to society and to the common good.
Will you be deleting that tweet or otherwise correcting this error?
I would say for many women, the meaning, the actual import, the interpretation of that provision is quite clear. Indeed, it is often referred to the woman in the home provision. So, by direct inference, it is clear to many women how outdated it is, how offensive this provision is, and it is equivalent to implying that a woman's place is in the home. Modern Ireland has no place for that.
But do you not accept that Justice Marie Baker, the Supreme Court judge who is the chair of the Electoral Commission, said in an interview in the Irish Mail on Sunday that you were incorrect about this? She said that you're simply wrong in your interpretation of the Constitution. This is a body that your government has set up to fight misinformation around electoral events like this.
As I said, for many women, the import is that provision is quite clear. Indeed, as I said, it's often referred to the woman in the home provision.
Now that's bad, right? That's ridiculously bad. But it gets worse. After her doubling down, Ben Scallan, a member of the Press Council, was at a press conference with our three leaders. And this happened.
Taoiseach and Minister Ryan, you set up the Electoral Commission specifically to fight misinformation, and that commission has repeatedly confirmed that the Constitution doesn't say. Minister Ryan,
who the actual do they think they are? Seriously, who the do they think they are? These privileged, sheltered, overpaid, underachieving arseholes, in my opinion of course, think that it is acceptable to just walk away from a journalist at a press conference asking a question that most of us would very much like to hear the answer to. Unbelievable. They genuinely do think that they're untouchable, don't they? All the scandals, all the lies, all the crises caused and made worse by those three men, and they just walk away. Nah, that's not on. That's unacceptable. And before anyone says, oh, but the time was probably up, this kind of thing happens all the time. Firstly, manners cost nothing, and it speaks to their character character that they would just walk away like that without a word. And secondly, when a question as important as this is raised, it should be given the highest priority. This wasn't just some non-urgent question that could be answered another day. This was about a government minister lying to the electorate in an effort to sway votes. It was being asked of the three leaders of the three main political parties pushing these referendums and pushing a yes vote. It should have been answered. And again, say what you will about Gript Media, but Ben Scallan had a valid question. A question that every journalist should be asking. A question that the electorate deserve an answer to. And that question is, why is it acceptable for a government minister to lie and spread misinformation which could sway and therefore interfere with the upcoming referendums? Why are the government okay with this? Well, we'll never know the answer unless the rest of the press council get their collective arses into gear and start hounding the three amigos, Leo, Micheál and Eamon, day and night until they answer the bloody question. And I think this is a good opportunity to address something that pops up a fair bit in the comments to my videos. People often ask me why I sometimes refer to politicians by their first names, and I'm told they're not my friends. And believe me, I get it. I do. But you know what? I call them by their first names because they're not better than you or me. They are not my betters. They are not my superiors. They do not deserve the respect of being addressed by their proper titles. They are ordinary people that have blagged their way into positions of power. They are not better than us. We do not work for them. They work for us, and they do well to remember that. I generally refer to people I respect by their full names, and these three have a hell of a lot to do to gain my respect. But back to the topic at hand. We know what to expect from this government, don't we? Lies, disdain, contempt, and a complete disregard for the rules. But this is different. This is worse again. By walking away from a valid question from a member of the press council, they walked away from the electorate and from true democracy. Now that might sound hyperbolic, but is it really? Journalists are supposed to hold the political class to account. They are supposed to ask the hard questions. And if you can't answer, then you should be held accountable for failing. But there is no accountability in Ireland, and these three know it. Democracy is listening to the people and acting in their best interests, and yet here we are. We have government ministers flat out lying to the electorate. We have the potential legal consequences and ramifications kept hidden out of sight until after the vote, and we have three so-called leaders who feel that they are above the law. That's not democracy. That is a flagrant abuse of power and position. And as for the rest of the journalists who were in that room with Ben Scallan, if you let this slide, what happens when the three stooges decide they don't want to hear from you anymore either? What happens then? You can think that you are better than Gript Media all you want, that you are of a higher class, that you are the professionals, and you can look down your nose at them. But good journalists hold those in power to account. They ask the tough questions that the people want answered, and they stand up for the truth. If you let this slide, you are not journalists. You are nothing more than the government mouthpieces and lickspittles that many already think that you are. I want Ben Scallan's question answered. I want to know that we have a robust democracy, one that those in power will defend rather than abuse for their own gains. I want a fair vote on the referendums where misinformation is called out and exposed, where government ministers are held accountable for lying to the electorate. And I don't think that that is too much to ask for. So what do you think? Are you as angry as I am? Do you think that this sort of behaviour has a place in democracy? How much are you looking forward to voting these elitist snobs out of power? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified of new content. If you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee or a super thanks, which is greatly appreciated, and a huge thank you to those of you that already have. You can also follow me on Twitter. Until next time, slán go fóill.